winning games that we wouldn't win last year. Like yesterday, we were losing all game. And then you come back and they fight and they scratch and claw and they win a baseball game. They don't win that game last year. This game today, they get the lead. They give it up immediately.
Chad Green came in too.
They get the lead. They give it up immediately. Last year's team gives up when they do that. This year, Chad Green actually showed, to your point, a little bit of nuts for the first time in 2-3 years and shut the door. I mean, these are games that they lose last year. These are games that we're used to seeing them lose after 162 of them.
And I know you're usually very against Chad Green, and I'm not very for him, but I've made mention that I think he's a good pitcher, and he's very not clutch. And I agreed with Chandler on the stream that while we were watching the game that I did not want him in that spot, and he ended up coming out on top. But I mean, I know Chapman pitched a lot, and he pitched 2 games in a row, and Mike King threw 15 pitches last night. I still think Mike King probably should have gone in that spot, even though I don't understand. If you're saving him for the next game, it makes no sense because it was a 3-2 game. There's no better spot to put a guy like Mike King in there. But who cares? He got out of it. Still don't agree with it. But
he was next. If Chad Green lets up a hit and a walk and gets one guy out, Mike King's going.
Do you think it's that they were saving Mike King? Because that makes no fucking sense to me.
I don't think.
Why not bring him in?
I don't think they're comfortable running him out back-to-back nights with a high pitch count, and relatively, I don't think they're comfortable doing that yet.
If Chad Green didn't pitch the day before, I think that if Chad Green threw 15 pitches last night, and Mike King was available tonight and didn't pitch the night before, then it would have been Mike King.
I think yeah. Side note on this, tell me what you think about this. This is kind of what I was thinking for Chad Green. What I would say that his role is, what I would like to see him in is like if we're losing by like a run or two. I think if Chad Green's in, I'm okay with that.
That's, I think, should be his permanent role.
That's what I'm saying. That should be his permanent role. He doesn't need to come in to hold games. He doesn't need to come in to close games. If we're down by like a run or two, you bring him in to keep it close.
Maintain it.
Maintain the deficit. And if he gives up some runs, whatever, you're already losing. If he's locked down, then good. Then you just move on and life's good.
Yeah, I mean, even today, like I know he closed the game out for us, but some of those pitches were very risky.
Dude, he was hanging.
He was hanging those
Lucky
curveballs up in the
Alejandro
zone.
Kirk.
Yeah, he got very lucky on some of those pitches.
Notorious Yankee killer Alejandro Kirk.
And if one of those pitches could have gone, and one of those hits could have gone very wrong, and he got very lucky and got out of it. But that cannot be a consistent thing you rely on moving forward from a guy like Green.
No, if he was hanging those pitches to Vlad Jr. instead of Alejandro Kirk, we'd lose that game.
Yeah, and he, I don't know, no, that wasn't Vlad. That wasn't Green. I'm sorry.
Springer.
No, Clay Holmes hung a pitch to Vlad, and he took it like 300 miles per hour to left field.
Top spin, just right over the third baseman's head, gonna clip his heels. He hit it so hard.
But again, if that was a little, that caught a little more of the play, that would have been out of the park.
Yeah.
And Chad Green's pitching, that would have been through the fucking dome.
Correct.
So,
well, it's so funny. We were just talking about how great Murph's Wi-Fi held up today. Rip.
Speaking of relievers, I think that now's a good time to bring up the conversation of Mike King versus Jordan Romano, because Jordan Romano, they just named the AL and NL relievers of the month. Obviously, Josh Hader gets it from the NL, but the AL, Jordan Romano got the reliever of the month. And not sure why, because when you look at the stats, in the month of April, which obviously is the month in question they're talking about, Mike King, 14.2 innings pitched. I'll go stat by stat so you can get a good comparison. It's hard to follow in audio only when you're not looking at the graphics. So Mike King versus Jordan Romano. Mike King wins with 14.2 innings pitched to 12.1. ERA, give the nod to Mike King, 0.61 ERA versus 1.46. FIP, give the nod to Mike King, 0.7 FIP versus 2.36 FIP. And then in WAR, 1.1 WAR, give the nod to Mike King versus 0.4 WAR. He got absolutely robbed of AL reliever of the month, and it's kind of disrespectful when I don't know how you can't.
They just value saves too much.
How many saves does Jordan Romano have?
He had like 11.
Mike King at least has one.
No, he had like 11 saves.
Well, he's the
closer
on the
though,
team, but
so
like when you look at, I mean, they've been like sluts for WAR as of late for most accolades that they give out, and he had more than double the WAR that Jordan Romano had. He had almost triple. If he had 0.1 more, he would have had triple his WAR.
If this award meant anything, I'd be pissed. I mean, luckily it's just a
no, I know.
Like and as Andrew from BP, he tweeted, he was like, I don't really care about monthly awards, but this is kind of bullshit, and that's where I saw it, and it's like, you know what? He's kind of got a point. Like, obviously, I'm not going to lose any sleep. They didn't win AL reliever of the month, but, but like,
I just want to put some respect on Mike King's name because I think across the league, I don't think anybody knows who Mike King is.
No, I think
we're the only ones who know who Mike King is, and not that I want to say that that's a problem, but I think if he continues to do this, he better get some respect because he's certainly earning it. Earning his pinstripes.
He's the perfect guy if we're sitting at the stadium watching a game and Mike King comes in, like us, they're like, fuck yeah, Mike King. And then some sloppy Boston asshole next to us is like, oh, fuck yeah, Mike King's in the game. We're about to blow this fucker wide open. We're like, no, just no. Like, he is the perfect guy that people don't know enough about, but he's just absolutely dominant.
Mike King could ride the subway with Nestor. Nobody would know who he was.
I would.
Okay, yeah, we would.
I would know.
So. I would know who.
I'm not saying that to you.
If you took Nestor's mustache off and put on somebody else, I would be like, "Yep, that's Nestor's mustache."
No. I was saying
we're different people.
I was saying it in a way like, you know what? I got you, Mike. That wasn't at you. But
I just think it was a little disrespectful.
It was very disrespectful. He won't get the respect until, he does this for a year, 2 years.
No, I mean, if he keeps it up, he's going to get some respect. I mean, this is a little ridiculous looking at the stats side by side, but I think you're right, Chandler. I think that the saves are, I mean, they're accurately valued, but I also think that they weigh a little too much into little things like this. And I feel like if Mike King was going to get any recognition in the long run, then this might be a little bit of an issue. He's not going to be in a safe situation.
If it was AL closer of the month, okay.
Yeah.
It's reliever. So you can't factor save more than everything else if you're giving it to all relievers as a whole. So again, not mad, just respect Mike King.
Yeah.